Philadelphia, everyone. This is Kiera with Key Readings, and we are going into part 3 of the Reluctant Hero Tarot series. The focus of today's video will be lack of self-belief or insecurity. So for me personally, insecurity, lack of self-belief have been a lifelong struggle. I understand the feeling of just not believing that I'm good enough, special enough, smart enough, pretty enough, interesting enough to do any of the things that I wanted to do or to step outside of my comfort zone, and how that has been extremely limiting to me in terms of growth and fulfillment and actually doing things that would increase my self-belief. It is another thing that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that I don't believe in myself, I'm not doing the things that I want to do, and because I'm not doing those things, why would I believe that I was capable of doing it? Because I'm not even trying. But today we're taking steps to manage that insecurity, move out of that and into a more confident, more stable, and self-trusting state of mind. So I really hope that this reading will provide that for you and help on your path to becoming the kind of person that will do the things that you want to achieve. So first off, as always, the first question is, how does insecurity manifest in our lives? And for that, we have the star in reverse. So the star card talks about vulnerability and talks about existing and living in your most authentic self. And in reverse, this is talking about the fear of that. There is a really deep-rooted fear of exposing the self to other people in ways that you perceive as necessary for you to achieve your goals. In some case, on some level, to connect with other people in the ways that we want to, we have to be vulnerable, and that can be extremely scary if you have experiences or have witnessed other people having their vulnerability used against them, having their vulnerability be rejected, and it can be, it becomes a deep lodged message in the mind, which our mind uses to try and keep us safe from that kind of hurt of, I'm not going to expose myself in that way. But in the long run, it really just keeps us from getting to know our own selves, because we are so afraid of exposing something that we think can be used against us, that we suppress our true selves even to ourselves. We start to villainize ourselves and exist in this belief that I don't deserve to have my story heard, or I don't deserve to have my perspective expressed, because I already know that it's not going to be accepted. So this is how insecurity and lack of self-belief manifests in our lives, and how or why does this insecurity have the ability to derail us on our paths. And for that, we have the Nine of Swords in reverse, which talks about stress and anxiety and being not just like this is another level of stress and anxiety that is keeping us up at night, that is having not just mental effects, physical effects, hair falling out, this kind of stress and worry, which comes from an over concern of thinking about what will this other person think of me? What will happen if I'm exposed in this way? And it's really, again, when some cards, when I look at them in reverse, I look at them as this is something that's very internal, because we aren't being vulnerable and we aren't expressing ourselves. These fears and these anxieties are really coming from ourselves and just rotating in our minds. And that really can intensify and multiply. It's just bouncing around in our minds, these thoughts of, and these fears of, these anxieties of not wanting to be exposed, not wanting to be vulnerable, worrying about what other people are thinking, worrying about what other people will say, that it derails us because our mind is just completely occupied with that and not with anything else. The mind becomes preoccupied with essentially things that are not our business. It's not our business what other people think of us. And that's something that I've heard many times from other people that I'm still trying to incorporate and integrate into my own self-belief and system, that it's not I'm not responsible for what other people think. There are hundreds of other things at work in someone's mind besides just what they see in front of them. Their perspective is shaped by those things that I will never understand. And because of that, and because it's not me, I'm me and they're them, it's not my business what is going on inside their head about me, whether it be positive or negative. And understanding that can help slow down that derailment of, and using so much of the mental energy that we have in trying to anticipate and interpret other people's reactions to us. Additionally, insecurity has the ability to derail us by kind of taking us off of this path that the Wheel of Fortune represents, this path of life. So the Wheel of Fortune is encompassing the ups and downs of life and all of the negatives and positives that come with just being a living being on this earth. And when we operate from a place of insecurity, we take ourselves out of this equation. We are no longer participating in the cycle of life and are robbing ourselves of the experiences of connecting with the self, connecting with other people, and consequently increasing our connection with the divine, with the universe, with our own higher spirit. Regardless of, some of the perspectives of other community, or essentially there's this idea that we should be separate, and we are separate beings. However, we need other people. That's the point I'm trying to get to, is that when we operate from a place of insecurity, we rob ourselves of the many beautiful and exciting and eye-opening experiences that comes from allowing ourselves to be connected with other people and allowing ourselves to be connected with just these cycles of the world and the cycles that are a part of our life. If we are insecure and afraid to make any moves or steps, then we are keeping ourselves stagnant in one place while the universe operates with this, on this wheel, this ever-changing nature of the universe that we are supposed to be participating in. If we are insecure and we are too preoccupied with what other people are gonna think to get on this ride, then we are robbing ourselves of a lot of beautiful experiences. The next question is, how can I manage my insecurity? And I want to talk about saying manage instead of overcome like I've done in previous readings, because on some level, these things are a part of life, and it is much more realistic to look at it as I'm managing these shadowy factors of my experience versus I'm trying to overcome them, because that doesn't actually help us become a whole, integrated, and self-accepting person. So how do we manage insecurity in our lives? We have the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is talking about someone who is in control of their feelings. The King of Cups is asking us to start establishing systems, structures, patterns, and processes within our minds that help us manage when we start feeling these insecurities. So if I know that I'm going to go into a situation that is going to trigger an anxious, insecure response, then I'm going to take some time to think about what is something that I can do to help manage my anxiety and insecurity in this situation. What is something that I can fall back on as a mental, physical, or emotional process that's going to help me to restabilize myself in the moment and remember that I don't need to expend any mental energy thinking about other people, and that it is okay for me to just go with the flow and experience all of the things and the people and the energies that are around me, because ultimately I am stable and comfortable in myself, and I know how to remind myself and recenter on that self-comfort and self-stability. Yeah. And the last question for this reading is, what is our immediate next step when it comes to managing insecurity? And for that, we have the Eight of Cups in reverse. The Eight of Cups in reverse is asking us to look back on the ways that we have repeatedly been going through the same cycles of mental and emotional weariness and insecurity. So it would be helpful to take some time and reassess some of the memories that we have in the past of being in a vulnerable position and feeling rejection, feeling feeling a negative reaction to our vulnerability, and go back to those memories and start to forgive yourself. And I know that can sound a little like whatever, but truly think back. A lot of times the memories, some of the foundational memories about vulnerability and anxiety and insecurity come from when we were children. And it's important to look back at that time and acknowledge I was a child, or acknowledge that back then I didn't have the same knowledge of self and the same stability and the same comfortability and understanding of myself and my place among other people to protect myself the way that I needed to be protected. And also acknowledging that maybe I didn't have the people around me protecting me that should have been protected me. And in doing so and going back and reassessing these memories and working to put to rest some of the negative connotations that have been taken and carried with you from those memories, you'll start to be able to let them go. And this is a very internal process that is going to take time. It's not going to be I took time to think about this memory one time and now it's not going to bother me anymore. We know that healing and progress is not linear. So it will take time, and that's why it's important to remain patient with yourself in the past, remain patient with yourself in the present, and remain patient with yourself in the future. Because you're going to get your strength and get your mental stability back step by step, and you'll get to that King of Cups sense of stability and structure and trust in yourself. But just acknowledging that maybe some of the things that I thought in the past that were protecting me isn't true, or not even that's not true, because we had these thoughts and these repeated beliefs to protect ourselves, like we said, and on some level they were protecting us, but we have come to a point now where these limiting thoughts, this wall is limiting us and is no longer providing the protection that it was first established to do. Now we need to go and start breaking it down. Start breaking down the wall and start reassembling something better. Breaking down the wall and laying the bricks out to a road so that we can walk on stable ground versus block ourselves in and block everything else out. And finally, we have the Six of Cups. This also is a very backwards facing card as in terms of signaling to us to go look at the past, look at our memories, especially like I said in childhood, and start to reacquaint ourselves with ourselves and start to heal our inner child, start to empower our inner child that, hey, you were not wrong to feel the way that you were feeling because that's how you felt. And maybe at this time you did not get your needs met. Maybe at this time you did not get the reaction that you wanted. But now I can go back and I can look at that younger version of myself and I can say, you are okay. Even if it hurt that day, it don't have to hurt tomorrow. Even if it stung and left some lasting wounds, we can start to heal that today. And finally, to wrap up, I'm going to do a Moonology card for us, just to get an additional healing message. And we have a fiery climax approaches, full moon in Aries. And I have my own thoughts about this, just like everything coming to a head when you do start breaking down these memories, that it will start to reignite this sense of self-love, passion, curiosity, and optimism about the world. That's what I see when I see this card. So please take whatever message from it that you get as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this message. I really do hope and pray that it is helpful to you, that it is something that you can come back to and keep getting more value from as you go forward on your path of fulfillment. Aboru Oboye Aboshishe. Have a blessed day.